Oh yeah, the chat's disabled, so it's just Q&A. Thank you for letting us know. Let me know when you're ready, PJ.
Yeah. Okay, we're live. Thank God.
Okay, perfect.
Right. From Ghana. Hi.
Awesome.
Nice to meet you. Okay, we're all good to go now. If you want to introduce yourself, Riley.
Perfect. All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Riley Davenport, and I'm the Assistant Director for Orientation and Family Programs. And what that means to all of you is I basically work with you on course placement and, if needed, the AccuPlacer. So I work with a lot of transitional programs to becoming a student, and that is one of them. So hopefully you can see my screen right now. We're just going to go through some basic information about course placement and AccuPlacer, and then I believe there will be time at the end to answer any questions, and I'll have contact information for you to reach out to our office if needed. So just to get us started, some of you may be asking, what is course placement? And what I always like to highlight first is course placement has nothing to do with your admission to the university and whether or not you can come here or not. I get a lot of questions about whether or not, if they don't have test scores, can they still come? It has nothing to do with admission. This basically just lets us know what math and English courses are best for you to start out with us to be the most successful academically. So we will use test scores that you may have already taken, such as ACT, SAT, TOEFL, IELTS, Duolingo, PTE. Maybe some of those sound familiar to you for course placement. But in the absence of those scores, or if your major requires a higher level course, depending on a few different factors, we may recommend that you take the AccuPlacer. So we're going to talk a little bit more about what that means. Did I skip one? No. Okay. So how does course placement impact you? We're going to focus on math for this example. And so each academic program has different math requirements. So the example I have up here is computer science versus art. So a lot of international students come in as computer science majors. So that's why I'm using this as an example. The recommended class that you start with for computer science is Math 121, which is calculus. So that's pretty much the highest level of math you can place into. And so if you don't have test scores or you have test scores that don't place you into that class, then we will recommend that you take the AccuPlacer just to double check that that's where you need to start, and make sure you're prepared for that class. On the other hand, if you're majoring in art, art doesn't require a math placement test generally. You can normally take any math class to fulfill that requirement. So we won't have you take an AccuPlacer if your major is math, just because of the lack of requirement for that. So depending on your area of study and your existing test scores, that is how we will know whether or not you need an AccuPlacer, and we will reach out to you to let you know if that is something that you are required to do. So most international students, if they have test scores already that we take, it'll be an SAT score. So I have an example here on the screen of what you would need for SAT test scores for math placement. So this depends a lot, again, on your academic program, but it'll give you an idea. We mentioned earlier the Math 121 for computer science. That would be a 580 or higher on the mathematics subsection. So you can know that if you took the SAT and you got below a 580 and you're a computer science major, that will likely recommend that you take the AccuPlacer. So this is just an example, and this information is also on our website, and it will be included in an email to you letting you know about the AccuPlacer for your situation as well. And so, yeah, how will you know if you need to take an AccuPlacer? We'll communicate with you via MavMail, so your MNSU email address. So it won't be to your personal email, it'll be the one that you created when you became a student with us. So if your existing test scores don't place you, like I said, we'll be reaching out to you. And I do like to highlight that there is no failing the AccuPlacer. So again, this is just a good way for us to make sure that you start with the right class to be successful. So no matter what your scores are, no matter what your pre-existing scores are or what you get on the AccuPlacer, it doesn't impact what you can major in. And you can't fail and you can't really pass. We want to make sure you start with the class that'll make you the most successful moving forward through your 4 years or however many years it is through your graduation. And then how do you take the AccuPlacer exam? So if that's needed, we'll let you know. And we have walk-in testing during your orientation, which I see on the screen. Orientation dates August 18th through the 22nd. So we will have testing Monday through Thursday that week where you can just stop by. Chances are you'll check in with Kearney International Center, and then you'll be directed where to go to take the AccuPlacer exam if applicable. So if you need it, you'll be able to do that when you come to campus. We also have testing available pretty much every day over the summer. So if you're arriving before August 18th, we can also get you scheduled for an in-person exam at that point as well. And then how should you prepare for the AccuPlacer? Studying for the AccuPlacer is not required. We really do want to know where your skill level is just right now as you are. That'll make it the most accurate to your success level in those courses if you just go off of where you are right now. If you do want to study, though, we do have some study materials on our website, which will also be included in the email if you would like to study. I like to recommend that you can take the AccuPlacer 2 times total. So if you want to take it just to see where you're at the first time and then study and then take it a second time, that works. It's kind of your own preference. But the most important thing to note is that the AccuPlacer is not available the first week of classes. And so I'm sure you'll hear it a lot if you haven't already from Kearney that it's really important that you are on time for orientation, that you arrive between the 18th and the 22nd or earlier to make sure that you're getting all the information and you're getting all of the boxes checked on what you need to do before enrolling with us. So you will not be able to take the AccuPlacer the first week of classes. We want to make sure you have that done prior to course registration. So that's some general information. I'm sure there's some specific questions, but if you have questions that you don't want to share in front of everybody and you want to reach out directly, that's totally fine. I can be reached, or our office can be reached at testingcenter@mnsu.edu. And we're within the Orientation and Family Programs office. PJ, what did I miss?
I think
Perfect.
you hit all the necessary points, just kind of knowing that you will likely be taking your placement testing during orientation, like Riley mentioned, but again, I really want to emphasize the email. Make sure you're checking your emails, please, because the placement testing center will reach out to you so you have an understanding of what to expect. So make sure you have access to your math mail. If you're already here, it means that you already have access to your math mail. You need that in order to register for this webinar. So just keep an eye out on your email. And if you have any questions, please reach out to the email that Riley mentioned. You can also reach out to the KIC, but again, we'll ultimately refer you to the planner. So just keep an eye on that. But did you guys have any questions for Riley while we have Riley here? Please leave it in the Q&A tab. Kind of take this as you guys might not have any questions, which is good. I know the morning group had many questions.
Yeah, a lot of questions about very specific scenarios. So if that's you, definitely send me an email, testingcenter@mnsu.edu. Oh, question. When will placement testing for international students be held? So you'll be able to take the placement test between August 18th and the 22nd. You'll want to take it before classes start. The next question, I'm sorry, I still don't understand why we need to take the tests and what are they about and are they mandatory? Yeah, great question. So basically, we have two required sections that every student needs to complete. So one is an English requirement and the other is a math requirement. And we focus a little bit more on math because there's more options. Depending on your program, there can be many math course requirements. So for the computer science example, If the ultimate class that you need to take is Math 121, there are about 4 other classes before that. So depending on where you're at with your math skill level, we want to make sure that you start with the class to be the most successful. I don't want to get too far into the weeds. You will have to talk to your academic advisor about most of it. But we do have a few retake policies and we have some completion rate policies. So we want to avoid as much as possible taking a course and not passing the course multiple times because there are some limits with that. So we want to make sure you start with the math and English course that you'll be the most successful in. I'm a biology major joining this year. I have an overall 8 bands in IELTS and have an A+ in mathematics in my O levels. I still need to take the test. That's a great question. So we do accept IELTS for course placement for English. We don't work with O levels for course placement. And to give more context, our domestic students or students from the United States also take placement tests. So they're what they get on for a high school GPA also doesn't really normally work for course placement. So everyone really is kind of with transfer credits from a college level, or it is going to be test scores. So we will accept IELTS, but the O levels is not something we take into consideration for course placement. Great question. Even A levels. Again, I think I'm not super familiar with that, but I believe that if it's similar to O levels and it's part of, I think it's like the British examinations, yes, those are not applicable to course placement. So it's SAT, ACT, IELTS, TOEFL, Duolingo, PTE, and MCAs. Those are the tests that we allow for course placement. Bless you, PJ.
Good questions, guys.
Yeah, thank you. Yes. Can you cover course placement with an SAT for math? Yes. So we do accept SAT for math, but again, that will depend on your situation. So if you, again, are a computer science major and it's recommended that you start with 121, but your SAT score does not place you into math 121, which is calculus, then we may recommend that you take the AccuPlacer just to confirm that those scores are accurate to your ability.
Any other questions, guys?
Okay, a question about for specific majors, what SAT scores in math would be good to cover the placement. We have a lot of majors, so I am not sure off the top of my head for each specific major. That's why we will look at your information and reach out via email about what the recommended class you start with is and what your current placement is. So you'll know whether or not you need to take the AccuPlacer. And if you want to know sooner, just feel free to email us at testingcenter@mnsu.edu. We will look up what the major requirement is and let you know that.
Then our CENT are.
We are emailed about the tests. Yep, so you'll want to check your MAV mail. We will email you via your MAV mail with what exam, if any, are applicable for you to take when you check in for orientation. So just make sure to be checking your MAV mail.
So essentially, please be patient, please keep checking your emails, and then you'll know exactly what you need to do. And what to expect when you're here for orientation. I also left the email for testing center in the chat, so if you want to email Riley with any more specific questions, you can absolutely go ahead and do that, and they will get back to you. Hi, Rana, I'm good. How are you? It's good to see you again. Lots of good questions. But yeah, if you have any more further questions, please email the email that I left in the chat. I think that might be your best bet. But yeah, it's good to see you. How are you? Well, I can't really see you, but you know what I mean. Any other questions from anybody else in the group? If you guys don't have any further questions, we might be ending our session a little bit early. Again, this recorded session will be on YouTube as well. So if you missed any part of the presentation in the beginning, just go to our YouTube and as soon as we're done, you can go and then it should be there. So you can always just go back and watch. Because Riley had a lot of good presentations as well if you missed the first part of it.
Perfect. Thank you.